The Vietnam War. Even today, the name evokes powerful emotions. It was a conflict that left an indelible mark on America's soul. Images of helicopters over rice paddies, protests in the streets, and body bags coming home filled the television screens. The war divided a nation. It sparked heated debates about America's role in the world. The Vietnam War was a tragedy for all involved. It is a conflict that America will never forget. To understand the Vietnam War, one must first understand Vietnam's long struggle for independence. For centuries, Vietnam had been ruled by foreign powers. First it was the Chinese, then it was the French. After World War II, the Vietnamese people, led by Ho Chi Minh, were determined to finally achieve self-determination. Ho Chi Minh was a charismatic leader. He had fought against both the Japanese and the French. He declared Vietnam's independence in 1945. He looked to the United States for support. However, the Cold War was brewing. The US saw Ho Chi Minh and his communist Viet Minh as a threat. France, seeking to maintain its colonial empire, refused to recognize Vietnam's independence. This led to the First Indochina War. The Viet Minh, with their knowledge of the terrain and unwavering determination, proved to be formidable opponents. The French, despite superior firepower, found themselves bogged down in a guerrilla war. The Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954 marked a turning point. The Viet Minh's decisive victory against the French forced France to the negotiating table. The Geneva Accords were signed. Vietnam was temporarily divided into North and South. Elections were supposed to be held in 1956 to reunify the country. The US, fearful of the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, stepped into the vacuum left by the French. The domino theory, a prevailing Cold War belief, held that if one country fell to communism, others would follow. This theory was central to US foreign policy. The US supported Ngo Dinh Diem, a staunch anti-communist, as the leader of South Vietnam. Diem, however, proved to be an unpopular and autocratic ruler. His government was rife with corruption. He persecuted Buddhists, alienating a large segment of the population. In August 1964, the Gulf of Tonkin incident occurred. The US claimed that North Vietnamese torpedo boats had attacked US destroyers. This incident, later revealed to be based on dubious evidence, gave President Lyndon B. Johnson the pretext to escalate US involvement in Vietnam. Section 4. The quagmire deepens guerrillas in the jungle. The Gulf of Tonkin Resolution authorized President Johnson to use military force in Vietnam. This marked the beginning of America's full-fledged involvement in the war. US troops poured into Vietnam. They found themselves fighting a different kind of war. The Viet Cong, the communist guerrilla force in South Vietnam, were masters of jungle warfare. The Viet Cong were elusive. They used a network of underground tunnels. They launched surprise attacks. They then melted back into the jungle. The US military's superior firepower was often ineffective against this guerrilla tactic. In 1968, the Tet Offensive shocked the American public. The Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army launched a coordinated attack on South Vietnamese and US targets across the country. Although a military defeat for the Communists, the Tet Offensive was a turning point in the war. It shattered the illusion that the US was winning. Section 5. A slow retreat, Vietnamization and the fall of Saigon. The Tet Offensive had a profound impact on American public opinion. Anti-war protests intensified. President Johnson announced he would not seek re-election. His successor, Richard Nixon, promised peace with honor. He implemented a policy of Vietnamization. The goal was to gradually withdraw US troops. They would equip and train the South Vietnamese army to fight their own war. However, Vietnamization proved largely unsuccessful. The South Vietnamese army was plagued by corruption and low morale. They were no match for the determined North Vietnamese. In 1975, the North Vietnamese launched a massive offensive. They captured Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, on April 30, 1975. This marked the end of the Vietnam War. Section 6. Scars of War, Vietnam's Enduring Legacy. The Vietnam War had a profound and lasting impact. The war claimed the lives of over 58,000 Americans and millions of Vietnamese. It left Southeast Asia in turmoil. The war also deeply divided American society. It eroded trust in the government. The war's legacy continues to shape US foreign policy to this day. The Vietnam experience made the US more wary of foreign interventions. It led to a reassessment of the domino theory. The Vietnam War remains a subject of intense debate. Was it a necessary conflict? Was it a tragic mistake? Could the outcome have been different? These are questions that continue to haunt Americans. The Vietnam War serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. It underscores the importance of diplomacy, understanding, and a critical examination of our role in the world.